suppose we ought to introduce ourselves, who we are. My name again is Brad Stoller. I'm that guy on the left. That's the only time you'll ever see me in a tie. I guess I'll need to update that, I guess. But anyways, this isn't about me. This is all about Clint. So I'm going to just defer. Clint, tell us your story. Who are you and why the heck should somebody listen to you about IT stuff?
Well, Brad, I've been in the IT business now for over 20 years. I actually stopped counting at that point, but we've had so many great accomplishments, and I take some of the accomplishments, but really it's a team effort over here. We've got 16 years in business under Your Business Solutions. We've got I've been able to be best-selling author on 2 books now. It was really fun getting those books taken care of and printed out and everything. Of course, we just enjoy giving back to the community. So I'm involved in a children's charity. I want to make sure that the kids get taken care of. Jojo Bear Foundation is the charity that I sit on the board of. So we just want to be able to make sure that we give back to the community that's given us so much.
Well, obviously, you have done a lot in your community. I know it's important to you, and you didn't mention anything about wounded warriors. I know you're very involved with that as well. So
absolutely,
there's a lot of things.
We're into a lot of charities that have to do with veterans as well.
So awesome. So, anyways, today's subject, like I said, we're going to talk. I'm going to have a little more fun here, but we're going to talk a little bit about where are salespeople really struggling right now? And this maybe on the surface, this doesn't sound like it has anything to do with IT at all, right? Your networks. Okay, so hang on. you might have a change of heart after we go through this for a little bit, but
dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, exactly. So why sales teams are struggling during pandemic, which I hear we're in the middle of one. This is actually I got this information from Harvard Business Review, and Harvard Business Review, obviously, I trust it. They've been around forever, but I would think they're kind of reputable. Yeah. So according to them, 50%, I think this is back in their issue came out in July, I believe. So it's a couple of months old now, but 50% of B2B businesses are holding off on purchases. Now, I think we're starting to see maybe where they're starting to purchase, starting to kind of go a little bit, but that's a big deal. Okay, so if you're a salesperson trying to find, you got half your audience there that doesn't want to buy anything right now. So it's a little bit of a struggle. So what that leads to, again, Harvard Business Review has said there's a need for increased efforts in prospecting. Makes sense, logical. Face-to-face meetings are much more difficult and challenging than they used to be. Obviously, if you even can find anybody to do face-to-face, there's still a lot of people who will. But when you do meet face-to-face, they have this thing over their, you can't see their lips, you can't see their face, you can see their eyeballs, but that's about it. So feedback during a meeting, I do a lot of talks on body language. I'm using it right now. You see my hands. I talk on my hands.
Body language, facial cues, things.
Yeah,
reading that body language is very important as a salesperson.
It is, as a good salesperson, anyhow, if they pay attention to it, which hopefully they are. So there's really no rules right now for generating business during a pandemic, and it really comes down to you got to be creative, and you have to do things differently, and it's a challenge. But standard email open rates. Clint and I have noticed this as well, but standard open email rates have decreased. What I've seen is they've decreased by 50% on average. I mean, you're in industry, it depends if who you're sending your emails to, but
yeah,
this all makes logical sense. Trial and error experimentation is really the new norm. New methods are being done all the time. I know. Yes. And Clint and I are good examples of, hey, we're always trying to think of something different.
Yeah.
And
just had a conversation about it about 5 minutes before this meeting.
We did. So, anyways, it takes somebody who understands that stuff. So I won't make Clint's head get this big just yet, but I really respect what he does and he gets it. So what sales teams really must do now, they really have to put a big emphasis on researching the industries that service clients in expanding markets.
Yeah.
It's still tough though, because everybody's starting to kind of understand that. So everybody's gone after the 50% of industries that are actually expanding, and they're just getting inundated. So that's why you got to do something different.
Yeah.
There is a need to highlight the direct connection between the product and service and the buyer's goals. This is more of a sales skill thing, but you have to figure out, companies really, it's all about ROI right now. And for those of you listening, you're probably nodding your head, said, "Yep, sure is."
Yeah.
And we talked about it just briefly, but virtual appointments. If your sales team is reluctant, they've got to step up, and they have to step up now. And if you're just now stepping up, you're already behind. So don't wait anymore. You have to understand that.
And even with that, I mean, it's really a matter of not necessarily getting caught up or anything, but this has now been a proof of concept that they're already starting to prove that these virtual meetings are starting to work, even though it's an economic issue rather than really a sales process issue in some cases. But we're going to get into this even more.
Yeah, exactly. The world's changed, and we're not going back. We may go back some, but we're not going to go back the way it was.
Yeah.
At least I don't think so, Clint. I think we both agree on that.
Yep.
Collaboration is absolutely critical, especially, we've talked about this in the past about remote workers, but I no longer work in what floor was it? 9th floor of the downtown building in Pittsburgh. Okay. I work from home.
Yeah.
I actually enjoy it. I love it more. But still have to collaborate, and it takes technology to do that. So good. Social media, it's become so big, and we just saw at this time we're recording this here, we had the vice presidential debate last night, and on social media,
He was going crazy.
yes, he had the fly on his head, so it's all over the place. It's the powerful that went viral. The whole world's seen this fly on poor Vice President Pence's head.
I think the fly's got its own Twitter account now.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, so you can harness that energy, but you have to be creative. But you don't have to go to that extent to put a fly on your head. But I'm just saying that you can use it. But use it
here, put on my head, but I'll try something.
Exactly. Okay, so I think I just hit. There we go. Sales teams need technology now. The collaboration, what we talked about. Yeah, you can't do that with smoke signals anymore. Clint, we've got to collaborate with some type of a tool, and we're going to talk about this in a little bit. But virtual meetings, I'm going through this really fast because this is just framing you up. You guys, I think most of you know this, but technology, you're going to need technology to do all this stuff. Software does this with prospecting. Social media obviously is technology, and even the CRM systems. Boy, if you're still using the spreadsheets, I pity anybody who's still using spreadsheets for trying to keep track of your clients and prospects.
It's a nightmare.
It really is today. So some of the top sales tools today, again, I'm going to go through this quickly, but I'm just listing out a few of these and a little bit about them. These are just some of the most popular ones right now. I put some info, and then what I realized is I'm going to be up all night making notes on all this software. So I said, you know what? Here you go. Here's a bunch more of them. And this is just a few. And you'll see a few that you've seen.
It's a drop in the bucket. I mean,
it is.
We have an ongoing joke in the IT industry that if you want to start a software company, just go create a CRM, because there's just so many of them out there.
There really are. And it's funny. I got approached by somebody who has a software platform to create software platforms. So that's where we're at today. I'm not kidding you. There's a course on it. They teach you how to do it. You pay your $1,500 or whatever, go through the course, and you can become a software engineer without coding. That's the world we live in today.
I'm
How's
just
that?
not going to go there.
Well, yeah, exactly. So, all right. So this is the most talking I'll probably do in a long time, but now we're turning over to the expert here, and that's Clint. But there's critical elements of safety when you start adding software, which we all have to have today. But Clint, before we dive deep, what's your thoughts on when you have to add software? What's some things that they need to be aware of?
Well, all software is not created equally, and there's big names, there's small names. I mean, you just seen that list. There were some names on there that, honestly, until we were doing the research, I never heard of those companies.
Neither.
Of course, there was a few of them on there I didn't know, and there's a few of them that didn't even make the list. There's a lot of them that didn't make the list, but we couldn't make it so small that you couldn't read it. So
Yeah.
The it boils down to really just making sure that there are as few vulnerabilities as possible in these things. You have to go through certain measures to be able to make sure that, uh, you know, uh, example, Zoom. We're on a Zoom meeting right now. Zoom isn't new. It's been around for a long time. It's just grown in popularity because of the situations that the world finds us in right now. So, were there problems with Zoom? Yeah, there were problems with Zoom well before this event started, but the light wasn't shined on it because it wasn't nearly as popular and widely used. Uh, Anything that you start using heavily, it's going to grow attention to it, and then it's going to have someone who wants to try to hack it or find some vulnerabilities to make your life difficult.
Yeah, exactly. And one thing that I've noticed is there's a lot of free software out there.
Lots.
And there's, for example, I know it's because I've done this personally, and I've been approached with this, but a lot of salespeople, again, you saw the stats. We have to prospect more. Everybody has to prospect more.
Mhm.
But how do you do that? Well, first you try and find all the companies, and you try and find the decision makers, and you try your hardest to find like an email address, contact information. There are
Mhm.
free tools out there that you can use to make sure, let's say, that their emails are valid. Last thing you want to do is throw a bunch of junk emails, because your emails system will shut you down if you send out too many bad emails. So
Yeah.
there's free tools out there, but the problem is I'm always wondering, why are they doing this? It costs them a lot of money to get this software built. How are they getting paid? And Clint, what are your thoughts? How are they getting paid if it's totally free, no strings attached, and they don't have any upsell or anything like that? How are they
Well,
getting paid, do you think?
I can guarantee you that, just based off of my knowledge on a few things, how many people do you think, Brad, actually read the terms and conditions?
The what?
Terms and conditions. Yeah, exactly.
That's my point.
Yeah, yeah. I've even played around with it just to prove a point before that. I put in there that where you're signing a so many month agreement, and you're guaranteeing your firstborn and stuff like that, just so that I could go back to them and prove a point that nobody reads the terms and conditions. And
Yeah.
it was a joke. It was never signed or anything. And I'm not trying to take people's kids. My point was that people don't read this. And what you're really doing for most of these free services is you're providing a software company with big data. Big
Right.
data helps them market but more. It helps them create other things that they're going to be able to sell, and it's at your expense.
Yep.
So, and even more so, there's vulnerabilities in some of these systems in a way that you are logging in, and I'm sorry, I know I'm looking at you right now because you watching this probably use the same password in too many places. So now you just created an account on their system with a password that you've used 10 more times someplace,
Yep.
and now you have another vulnerability right there.
And there is a free tool, by the way. You can see if your password has been hacked. It's a free tool. I don't. Here we go again.
Hey,
But yes,
and
exactly.
we can actually, help people out with a free dark web scan. I can tell you exactly which websites have your stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So, and as far as any suggestions, now that we've got people a little bit confused and now they're scared to get anything free, not everything that free is bad. HubSpot's a good example. It's a CRM tool.
Yep.
Clint, you and I kind of use this to kind of go back and forth a little bit too. But
Hmm.
there is a free version of HubSpot, for example,
Sure.
and I think they have good intentions. They have all the security in there, the two factoring and all that, where you have to get a
Mhm.
code. You just can't hop in, but they limit and what you have access to. But they give you a test. a taste of it, if you will. And if you like it, then sure, you're going to pay them money on a monthly basis, and you can open up
Yeah.
where you can do more tools. And to me, that doesn't seem like that's a bad one. But
It
what
all depends
tools?
on the limitations too. I mean, sometimes
Yeah.
they can give you no limitation, but it's a 7-day term. Or they give you limitations as far as, well, you're going to have so many records or something in there, or so many users or something in there, or, you know, pick something. They put some sort of limitation in there. They have to. I mean, they can't provide everything for free. Otherwise, they're going to be putting a whole bunch of ads in there so they can sell you stuff, so they can
Yep.
basically use your, private information. Again, back to the, privacy policy.
Yeah. Any suggestions on just if there are some general rules, I guess, Clint, from your point of view of, when do you think it's safe to add a software tool? When should I be alarmed? Or just what are your thoughts on that?
Really, it's a matter of doing your homework. Do some comparison shopping. Do some, like everybody else does. Google it, and see if you can find, positive, negative, press or anything on there, and make sure it's valid. Don't take every review, whether it's positive or negative, at face value. Verify, if that's the information, because there are some ugly people out there that may want to just discredit a company. There are companies out there that will literally go to their competition and put bad reviews on things. There's all sorts of things out there, but just, you have to go out there and just be careful with what you're doing. Always, always, always use a unique password on things. So just, please stop using, password 123 or whatever the hell you're using, because, you're using the same thing in 10, 12, 20 different places.
Yeah. It's easy, but dangerous. You got it. So, well, I know one of the things that we're going to chat about was this is something that a lot of people and a lot of businesses are using. But
Yeah.
you were told, Clint, you told me that you guys discovered something. What, it just happened yesterday while
Yeah.
it was happening. Tell us a little bit
Yeah.
about what you found out just like that.
So, we do monitoring for all of our clients. We have to monitor so many platforms. We have to monitor just an exorbitant amount of things, all for our clients' benefit, making sure that we know what's going on at any given time. And I was actually in the middle of a meeting. Luckily, it wasn't about this particular platform, but it kind of was, in a way. But we got an alert that came up that Microsoft had gone down for the third time in 10 days. So, a lot of people were just like, okay, well, I just won't work. Okay, well, how long is it going to be down? Was it going to be down for 10 minutes? Is it going to be down for an hour? Is it going to be down for 4 or 5 hours? The world that we live in today, we live inside of our platforms, and Microsoft Office is no different. Everyone's using Office 365, which now they're really kind of rebranding to Microsoft 365. Um, and it's a great platform. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it for collaboration. There's almost no competition out there for everything that they do, but with everything, you got to make sure that you have safeguards in place. If the system goes down, then what? And back to the comment that I made earlier about the terms and conditions, I can guarantee you no one ever read the terms and conditions for Microsoft, because there's literally a line in there that says, we're guaranteeing that we're providing you access to your files. It never says anything about a backup.
Right.
So there is another line in there that says, we recommend, using a third party backup for these type of, for all your files and everything. And there are great tools out there to back up Office 365, to back up a lot of the tools within Office 365. But I will tell you that there's some tools that are in Office 365 that don't get backed up. And that's another opportunity for another software company to come along and expand on things. But I really like the fact that a partner of ours, Datto, they actually provide backup support for not just the email. Of course, your email has your calendar and your contacts in there, so those are taken care of. And then, of course, you have SharePoint and OneDrive. They're similar systems, operate very, very, very much the same. Both of those get backed up, and of course, your Teams gets backed up as well. So your entire infrastructure that you're providing me with your files on there, that's all backed up. If and when, it's not if anymore, it's now when,
Yeah,
is Microsoft's
exactly.
going to go back down again. What do you do at that point in time? If you don't have a backup or a plan, then now you're stuck with an issue that I can't access my files, I can't access my email. I mean, just the one yesterday, it was Outlook that actually went down. So yeah, it's a major problem, and it's something that has to be addressed while you're doing these things, because how do you do sales? Everything's through your Office
Yep,
applications now.
it
I
sure
mean, you're
is.
doing it's email. If you're using some of the features that are in here, you can now actually make phone calls through Teams. So there's all sorts of things that have to be backed up and be prepared.
Yeah, man. And we talked the other day too about, there are most businesses out there, not everybody, but most businesses out there use, let's say, QuickBooks, for example. Same thing. I mean, if
Yep.
QuickBooks goes, they don't guarantee the backup of your data, do they? It's
Yep.
you have access to it, like you said, but if something goes wrong,
Yep.
you better be prepared. So I think the moral of the story is you really, we're at the point now, and Clint, would you agree with this, disagree? But don't you think we're at the point right now where businesses really need to have not just somebody that can come and replace a broken hard drive or something like that. You need to have somebody who understands, first of all, networking, yes. Cybersecurity, they have to understand that, yes. But really, they need to understand business.
Yeah.
And not every technical advisor, IT advisor, they may be very, very good with networking. And in fact, they can probably write the software. But
Yeah. Yeah.
they
And
have to
and
understand
really,
business, don't they?
well, yeah, I've actually, since I've been running this business for 16 years. My father was an entrepreneur. It's in my blood. A bit, just business in general is in my blood. But what I found out was all the years that I wasn't running my own company, those business owners that I worked for, they were really what's considered a technician. And I don't know if anyone on the line here really follows something like Michael Gerber's E-Myth, but the
Mm-hmm.
technician mindset is the person who can do the actual activity, but they end up having a business. They built themselves a job around what they do, and
Right.
they're not really business mind oriented. So and that's really where I try to make sure that I separate myself from the rest of the herd out there, is because I'm always thinking business first, and I don't push solutions as far as I've got this widget that I've got a discount or something on. I push the fact that, look, I'm looking holistically on things, and I want to know how are we going to get through this year, 5 years, 10 years from now, get yourself set up so that you can grow, your infrastructure can grow, everything can be humming along smoothly, and you have absolutely no issues with your IT infrastructure. It's just it's an enablement piece of your business.
Yeah, exactly. And business, just you can't grow without technology anymore. It's just so difficult.
Yep.
So well, we really, again, we always want to keep these to about 20 minutes or so. So I think we've been doing a pretty good job staying pretty much on
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
So
Right on time.
next session, first of all, our next session, we originally were going to do a week from today. We've all decided, hang on a second. We've got a lot to cover. We all need, we need a little more time to put it all together.
It's a quite an
I'm one of the
undertaking.
week because we want to make this really a special. It's the last of our series, and we want to make sure there's just so much value for anybody who's on this that when you get done, you're like, wow, that's what we want. So it's going to take a little time to do that, and I think Clint's working on making sure we've got a good guest to come on here and kind of walk you through technology and how they use it and some of the problems they've had. And so kind of like a case study, live case study. That's what we're working on here. So we're going to be, it's just your questions about business technology answered. That's what we're going to call it. Before we go though, Clint, tell us a little bit about no tricks, just treats. So for
Yeah,
anybody on
well,
here,
hey, it's
tell us a little bit about that.
Halloween's right around the corner, so no tricks, just treats. We've got a special set up on our website right now, ibs.us/trick or treat, no spaces in between there. So check it out. We love to be able to help you out with any of the gremlins that are in your network.
Well said. Well said. So let's see if we have any questions here real quick before we go. Hang on just a second here. We've got one question. Okay. So John wants to know, what do you recommend if you're not going to use Microsoft Teams? What should we be using?
Well, Zoom can be a good asset for you as long as if you're just trying to do some meetings like this. There's GoToMeeting out there as well. Whenever it's price sensitive, I think it's probably Zoom is the better alternative. The biggest thing that I recommend is I think that they may have toggled this requirement back and forth a little bit, but always put a password on your meetings. There've been several things in the news here recently that's been talking about, people getting into other people's meetings. So yeah, I would definitely say that Zoom is a good alternative there. But there's still some others out there too. So I know Skype's kind of disappearing right now.
Yeah, I've noticed that too. It annoys me. It keeps wanting to update my computer all the time, but I don't even use it. But then the last question that just came in is this from Bill, and Bill's asking about Zoom. How do we keep from getting bombed on Zoom?
Okay, so yeah, that's basically the same thing that we were just talking about here. So we just got to make sure that if you don't want any unexpected guests, make sure that you're putting your passwords on there. There's that security mechanism. It's right whenever you're creating the meeting. There's an option in there under I think it might even say security or something on there. But just type in a password. It doesn't have to be complicated. I will tell you that I've caught way too many people typing in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or something like that. Don't do that. Still make it easy enough for people to get in or remember it or whatever, but please don't make it, just sequential numbers, because that's being guessed so many times.
I've actually heard and seen where 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is the most common password of all time.
I can't even tell you how many times people have sent me that, and I just like cringe. I just please don't do that.
Or the next one I think was the word password. Don't do that.
Yes, that is the number 2.
Okay, let's see. Looks like okay, we don't have any other questions, and we are right at our time limit. Clint, any closing remarks here today?
Well, I appreciate everybody's time here today. And if you have any questions or concerns about these kind of things, please don't hesitate to reach back out to us. We are offering these free consultations on these kind of topics so that we can make sure, again, that the community is getting back to work. I mean, we've got to pull together as a community to be able to overcome all this stuff. So let's get back to work. Let's get the economy rolling.
All right, well said. So again, my name is Brad Stoller. For Clint, we'll see everybody in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. But in the meantime, if you have any questions, please don't wait. Call Clint's office, send him an email. But you're better off just going to an expert when don't waste your time. just ask him. He's not going to charge. I mean, he wants to help you. So there we go.
Do what you do best, and we'll do what we do best.
There you go. So we'll see everybody in a couple of weeks.
Thanks.